Hi, my name is Michele Saumberfield. Okay, this is part 2. I made my last video and it went a bit long, and I don't have much memory on my computer, so it literally cut me off mid-sentence. Okay, now maybe like a half hour's gone by, and okay, we got sleepy kitty cats here. Now this sleepy kitty cat here, all sacked out. Alright, so the kitty cats are asleep, but they're still here on the bed, just waiting for me to do this video. So I was talking about my past lives, the ones prior to Marilyn's, and I was starting to say, I remember a past life where I was this girl. I was really pretty. I had long, dark brown hair. I think I had brown eyes, but I'm not sure. What I remember is I was pretty tall. And I remember there was a guy who was in some kind of army. I'm not sure what war. I'm not sure what year. But I remember he pretty much decided he wanted me. And he was pretty brutal about the way he took me. But he kind of wanted me at his beck and call. So what happened was I got in the mindset where in order to rationalize waiting around for him, I told myself he was handsome because he wore a uniform. I told myself I couldn't live without him. I pined away for him when he wasn't around. I really kind of made myself sick pining away for him. And then when he was around, he wasn't all that great. And I remember I had a baby girl during that lifetime, but she was sick and she ended up dying. And again, I just have this very vivid memory of constantly pining away. And I look back on that and I think, what a waste. Like, and I don't know. I kind of feel like I had this sense that I didn't have a choice in a way, even though he was gone for many, many months at a time. I kind of felt like when he was back in town, he would find me. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but I kind of felt like he felt he owned me, so I had to make believe I liked him. Which sounds kind of strange, but, you know, I remember that lifetime, and I don't know how I died. I think I was probably in my early 20s, and I have this sense almost that I died of a broken heart and not taking care of myself, and then maybe just getting really sick, like pneumonia or something. Like I wasn't taking care of myself, and I was emotionally distraught, and I just got sick and died. I dimly feel that that's what happened to me. I remember one lifetime where I was a redheaded soldier. I was a guy. And I have this sense that I did something I wasn't supposed to, but I kind of like attacked someone when his back was to me or something because I knew he was a bad guy and I didn't want him to get the best of me, but I knew it was kind of cowardly to do that. And I felt really guilty. And I ended up in the streets, and I had one of my legs amputated. I think it was my right one. And I remember going home and being with my family, like I had children and grandchildren. And I remember they'd want to come up and sit with me. And I remember thinking that you have to put more emphasis on the good things in life than the bad things in life. Because I could sit there and just feel sorry for myself. Or I could enjoy the love of my family around me. But I kind of felt both. Again, I've got no idea what year that was, what war that was. I just know I was a redheaded guy and I lost my leg in some war. That's all I remember. And I remember my leg, they like sawed my leg off when I was laying in the street. And it was like the worst, most painful thing ever. But I don't know. Let's see, what other lifetimes do I remember? I remember a lifetime where I was a preacher and I would go around visiting people a lot and they would offer me, you know, food and wine and this and that, but I had a drinking problem And I remember I used to not feel very good in the morning, and I would drink too much red wine. And I remember that. I was a guy. I had red hair. So I've had red hair during a couple lifetimes. Not a lot, but a couple. Let's see. Yeah, I was a redheaded actress. I talked about that in the last video I made. I remember that. I remember I mentioned my Siamese twin lifetime in the last video. What I remember about it, well, I remember various things, and I talk about that in my book just real briefly in a couple paragraphs, I think. But what I remember is that when my family finally decided to have my sister and me separated, my sister died before me, and I was so heartbroken and also so stubborn that I decided I wasn't going to respond to anything anybody wanted me to. I wasn't going to talk. I wasn't going to eat. I was just plain mad that my sister was dead. And then I ended up starving to death. And I don't know, I find that, I don't know, I guess I kind of squandered that lifetime too, because I survived the operation. I mean, I assume I would have continued to survive it and wouldn't have gotten an infection or something. But I remember that I just made up my mind. I was so mad that I wasn't going to respond to anything anybody wanted me to. Okay, during one of my lifetimes, I lived in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania during the Civil War. And what I would really like to find out through a past life regression is, since it was the Civil War, I would like to know what the person I was then had heard about Abraham Lincoln. And, you know, when you think about Marilyn liking Abraham Lincoln so much, and then me realizing I had a past life in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania during the Civil War, it kind of makes sense. Now, I don't remember one way or another if when I was Marilyn, if I remembered that lifetime. It might have been a subconscious thing, you know. And of course, who doesn't like Abraham Lincoln? You know, he stands for so many good things. But I can't help but wonder that. I like Abraham Lincoln too. I have a few, not a lot, but a few Abe Lincoln things in our house here. This is one of the pictures hanging in our bedroom. But I think it's interesting to think about, how does the subconscious work on a person? You know, what if you don't remember your past life in like the forefront of your mind, but maybe underneath it you still have some emotional attachments to things that you heard about or experienced in your past? I don't know. I would really like to explore that lifetime more. I think that would be really cool. And then I write about a lifetime in my book called Marilyn, Not Just Another Girl, The Myth About Sleeping in the Nude. I write about a lifetime that I actually started to remember when I was in the middle of writing my book. And I'm not really quite sure what her name is. I kept thinking Lisette, and then my friend who's a little bit psychic said, no, I think it's Lizette. I keep getting Lizette. I keep, you know, hearing this name, and she heard a last name too, but I don't want to mention it in case any of that girl's relatives are out there. But it's interesting. I remember this whole plot, which I write about in my book, about how I came to live in a brothel and details about that. But what I'd really like to know is, I already know how I died. I already know how I spent the last couple years of my life and why I got there. I wish I could remember the first half of my life better when I was happy. Because I know I won second prize at some big festival, some big talent competition thing. I was a singer. I kind of feel like it was a little bit of a, I don't know, like, I don't want to say jazz exactly singing, but, you know, something kind of funky, even though it was like maybe the 1880s, maybe 1890s, I'm not quite sure. I'm going to guess the 1880s. But I just wish I could remember more about the first part of my life when my brother and sister, my mother was still alive before my father was put in jail for being a scoundrel and a cheat and scamming people. It's weird. Like, I tend to remember more bad things than good things when I remember past lives. And it's probably because the bad things are the things that affect you so emotionally and scar you. And of course, your death is the last thing you experience during that lifetime. So it's even the freshest thing that you would remember. But I wish I remembered more about the happy days part of that lifetime. But for some reason, I don't. Anyway, I just wanted to make this video to continue talking about, you know, what I had started in the other video, because it was kind of crazy the way my computer just cut me off in the middle of a sentence. And although, you know, I know one of the very important rules of showbiz is always leave them wanting more, probably the number one rule is the show must go on. So I wanted to do this part 2. Anyway. Alright, there they are. Kitty, 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 little ball of fur. And little kitty Catsby. Hi, kitty Catsby. What you doing? What you doing here? Huh? What you doing? You sleeping? Alright. Yeah, they're sacked out. They're ready to go to sleep. And have a good evening.